Well, Jimmy Kimmel was fired because he had bad ratings more than anything else, and he said a horrible thing about a great gentleman known as Charlie Kirk. And Jimmy Kimmel is not a talented person. He had very bad ratings, and they should have fired him a long time ago. So, you can call that free speech or not. He was fired for lack of talent.
Your boy Jimmy Kimmel, it's like they prophesy, in my opinion. Sometimes I feel like they're telling prophecies.
Kimmel is next to go in the untalented late-night sweepstakes, which is alarming because I don't know if you know this, Jimmy Kimmel is me.
They get on there and go, what if I get kicked off the show? Ha, ha, ha. They can't do nothing to me. That's what he said. You remember what he said? Now he off the show. Bring him up. This is why he got canceled. And they started with a soft approach. They started with just canceling him on certain networks, and then they probably was trying to see what the feedback was, and they probably were getting overwhelming support to do it, so they canceled him indefinitely.
ABC is pulling Jimmy Kimmel's late night show off the air indefinitely after pressure from President Trump's appointee leaving the FCC and local broadcast company Nexstar. Kimmel recently speculated on the air that the man who killed MAGA activist Charlie Kirk could have been on the far right himself. Today, FCC Chairman Brendan Carr went on a MAGA influencers podcast and threatened action against ABC's local affiliate licenses. Nexstar, one of the largest owners of TV stations in the U.S., announced later today it would stop airing Kimmel's show for the foreseeable future.
Now, indefinitely don't mean that a person can't come back. It just means until further notice. But what does that mean? Once they cancel them, they're going to see the feedback of the show and what people are saying, and then indefinitely is going to turn into a permanent fire. But this is what that fool said that got him canceled. Hey, y'all, hold on real quick. I got to tell you this. I bet you $1 million y'all didn't know this. Only 3 of that cancel culture stuff, y'all been pushing for cancel culture for 100 years. And you violated the terms of your contract with your company, which means if you do things that are detrimental to the growth and success of your company, they can suspend you. They can expel you. They can fire you. The end. Roll the clip.
We hit some new lows over the weekend with the MAGA gang desperately trying to characterize this kid who murdered Charlie Kirk as anything other than one of them and doing everything they can to score political points from it. In between the finger pointing, there was grieving. On Friday, the White House flew the flags at half staff, which got some criticism. But on a human level, you can see how hard the president is taking this.
My condolences on the loss of your friend Charlie Kirk. May I ask, sir, personally, how are you holding up over the last day and a half, sir?
I think very good. And by the way, right there, you see all the trucks? They've just started construction of the new ballroom for the White House, which is something they've been trying to get, as you know, for about 150 years. And it's going to be a beauty.
Yes. He's at the 4th stage of grief, construction. Demolition, construction. This is not how an adult grieves the murder of someone he called a friend. This is how a 4-year-old mourns a goldfish, okay? And it didn't just happen once.
When I heard it, I was in the midst of, building for 150 years, they've wanted a ballroom at the White House, right? They don't have a ballroom. They have to use tents on the lawn for President Xi when he comes over. If it rains, it's a wipeout. And so I was with the architects that would design. It's going to be incredible. And they came in, they said, Charlie Kirk is dead. I didn't know what they meant. I said, he was dead. Charlie Kirk was shot.
So yes, the Disney-owned ABC broadcasting network has pulled the Jimmy Kimmel show from their network. Yes, that's the breaking news. I know a lot of you have a lot of questions as to, to what degree is this deserving and or to what degree is this right? Is it because of what he said? Is a joke? Like I see mostly on the comment section, most persons are saying, when do people begin to get sacked for a common joke? And some other persons will say, to what degree is free speech still free in this country? A lot of people have been asking, is free speech still free? And before we dive into all of that discussion, I'd like to, let you see what he actually said and also what he has to say for himself after this whole ordeal. So I want you to keep your opinions coming on the comment section. Make it groovy. Let's keep the opinions and chats coming on the comment section, okay? If you've not subscribed, this is the perfect time for you to subscribe right now, like the video, and share.
We hit some new lows over the weekend with the MAGA gang desperately trying to characterize this kid who murdered Charlie Kirk as anything other than one of them and doing everything they can to score political points from it. In between the finger pointing, there was grieving. On Friday, the White House flew the flags at half staff, which got some criticism. But on a human level, you can see how hard the president is taking this.
My condolences on the loss of your friend Charlie Kirk. May I ask, sir, personally, how are you holding up over the last day and a half, sir?
I think very good. And by the way, right there, you see all the trucks? They've just started construction of the new ballroom for the White House, which is something they've been trying to get, as you know, for about 150 years. And it's going to be a beauty.
Yes. He's at the fourth stage of grief, construction. Demolition, construction. This is not how an adult grieves the murder of someone he called a friend. This is how a 4-year-old mourns a goldfish, okay? Yes.
Do you think that you were poking the bear a little bit to see if they would,
No.
you know, by doing political stuff and all, or saying whatever is on your mind and risking viewership? Do you think you're kind of poking them a little bit to see what they would do?
No, and I really, this is just I don't know. This is, I really think that when they were trying to buy Fox, they were worried that Trump was going to screw them up somehow. And I think that was part of why they were nervous about, my comments, you know.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think anybody was, certainly I don't think their political beliefs conflicted with mine, but yeah, if you want to do if you want to have a big audience, you want to keep you don't want to piss a lot of people off, and I was pissing a lot of people off. But as far as being appreciated, feeling appreciated, I would say the first 10 to 12 years of my tenure at ABC, the feeling was, you're lucky to be here. I think that's the feeling I always got, is that somehow somebody was doing me a favor by allowing me to be on their network. And that changed very late into my run there, you know. And
was there something that you think changed it?
Well, I think there were different people there. I think that's what it was. I think that there's a group of executives that worked at Fox who had a different, who told me, they would say like, oh, we wish he was here. You know, we wish we had him on our stage at the network up front, or, speaking for us, or, whatever, doing our show on this network. And when they came over to ABC, they took that opinion of me with them and expressed it, which was, which a lot of people don't do, a lot of networks. And to me, I know it's weird, but I worked in radio for a long time, and I got fired from a lot of jobs. And like, my boss's opinion of me means something to me, and maybe, I know that that's not the case for a lot of people. I don't think David Letterman ever cared what his boss thought of him, but that's somehow ingrained in me. And maybe it's from being fired so often. Maybe it's just my personality or whatever, but that is something in me. And to hear the people I work for say that they liked what I was doing and they valued me was important to me.
This is just a monumental shakeup to the media landscape. And on Monday, after all the questions we've gotten from the audience about Charlie Kirk and what happens now, where do we go from here? Clearly, things are changing, and it's going to start with the media, where a reckoning is happening right now, isn't it?
Yes, absolutely, Rob, and thank you for having me on. I want to establish what Jimmy Kimmel did here, because the left, much like how they are trying to hide the fact that Charlie was politically assassinated by a Trantifa, far left-wing sociopath who hated Charlie and hated conservatives, and so with hate in his heart, he inscribed Antifa and far left-wing LGBT messaging on bullets and sent them downrange to murder Charlie Kirk. They have tried to cover that up, and part of the cover-up was using Jimmy Kimmel's platform to say that Charlie was killed by a MAGA conservative. Now, left-wingers are trying now to rewrite history and say that Jimmy Kimmel was fired for a joke that he told. This is not a joke. Jimmy Kimmel said that Charlie Kirk deserved his assassination. Jimmy Kimmel said that Charlie Kirk shares in the blame for his own assassination. This is the commentary that Jimmy Kimmel made. It is utterly and completely indefensible. Jimmy Kimmel went on to then make fun of Charlie Kirk and make fun of President Trump, saying that he did not care about or love his friend. And so I want to establish that this is not a joke. This is a lie. Now, ABC has a lavish broadcast license that is granted to them by the American taxpayer. The American taxpayer pays money so that ABC News can be broadcast freely into millions of American homes. They have a responsibility to broadcast true information in the public interest. It is a legally binding contract. And so by Jimmy Kimmel misinforming his audience, not only does he victim blame Charlie Kirk and say that Charlie Kirk deserved to get politically assassinated, he's also lying to his audience, thus creating an unsafe environment for other conservatives, other Turning Point activists.
Exactly.
For you or me. He's saying that we deserved it. And more importantly, that if you go and kill a Trump supporter, that he will cover for you. That the left can go murder Trump supporters and Jimmy Kimmel will go and whitewash it for you so that you don't get any blame and his side doesn't get any blame. That's what Kimmel did. That accelerates the dangerous atmosphere that the left has created right now. It continues the atmosphere that got Charlie killed. And so what Jimmy Kimmel did was indefensible. Now, I saw that clip and I got enraged. And I said, we are going to call Brendan Carr and get him on my show. And we're going to talk about this. Brendan Carr is the FCC commissioner. Right. Brendan Carr came on my show and said that ABC is going to have hell to pay for this, that it is a truly sick comment, and at the FCC, they're not going to tolerate it. Then we went and we called the local stations, the broadcast affiliates. And my team has been calling broadcast affiliates all day long.
More than 30 of them.
Do you agree? Do you agree with this?
Right.
And the broadcast affiliates, to their great credit, Nexstar and Sinclair, both said, no, we are going to pull Jimmy Kimmel from the air. We're going to take him out of 37 million American households. Jimmy Kimmel's show only does like 2 million views a night. So what is that going to do to his ratings? Of course, it's going to collapse them. And then at that point, ABC News had no choice but to bow their head, to suspend Jimmy Kimmel, and to grant, in the name of Charlie Kirk, the single greatest cultural victory for the right in a...
Oh my God, it's happening. Jimmy Kimmel is out at ABC. The unfunniest man on television is now just the unfunniest man because he's no longer on television. Here's what happened. Jimmy Kimmel has been pulled indefinitely by ABC after his very insensitive remarks about the death of Charlie Kirk. Here's what he said.
We hit some new lows over the weekend with the MAGA gang desperately trying to characterize this kid who murdered Charlie Kirk as anything other than one of them and doing everything they can to score political points from it.
That, of course, was a bold-faced lie. Tyler Robinson was not a MAGA supporter. He was not a Donald Trump supporter. He was a liberal. He thought that Charlie Kirk was a fascist, and he was in a relationship with another man. And ABC, who already had to shell out $16 million to President Donald Trump once this year, I guess was trying to avoid any future hassles. So they pulled the plug on Jimmy Kimmel. And no one was happier than President Donald Trump, who wrote, "Great news, America! The ratings challenge Jimmy Kimmel show is canceled. Congratulations to ABC for finally having the courage to do what had to be done. Kimmel has zero talent and worse ratings than even Colbert, if that's possible. That leaves Jimmy and Seth, two total losers on fake news NBC. Their ratings are also horrible. Do it, NBC. President DJT." At this rate, pretty soon Gutfeld's going to be the only guy left on late night.
So, like I always say, right, your right to freedom of speech is a right that, your government owes you. So it's your right owed to you by the government, right? It's not a private matter. It's a public matter. The government owes you that right for your freedom of speech. All right, it's enshrined in your freedom, which is the First Amendment. Now, these organizations, such as ABC, they are private institutions. They're not a government they're not a government body, right? They're not public sector. So it's owned by certain individuals. And every individual sets its policies and goals. And the number one goal of every private firm is to make profits, okay? Now, there are contracts before you begin to work for a firm. And one of the most important thing is in a contract for you to work in a firm is for you to add value to them, okay? Now, in a situation where your freedom of speech is coming between this company and their value, you see, and between this company and them making profits, which is in essence is their value, right? Is their goals. So you see that these two things don't match, right? Your freedom of speech, which is your right, is now coming between your employer and his sole purpose of establishing this firm. You see, you can relate to the reason why these employers have to let these persons go, right? So if you were still in doubt as to why this guy was let go by ABC, I believe now you understand better. So keep your conversations coming in the comment section, okay? I'll see you guys on the next video. Please do well to subscribe, like the video, and share. Thank you, guys.